Hello guys, welcome back once again. Trust we are all doing well. In today's Power BI tutorial video, we'll be looking at how to unpivot and pivot our columns. I'll also show you how you can fill up and fill down. Then I will show you how you can solve problem that has to do with date error due to the region where your data is coming from, right? As you can see here that we have a data already imported into Power Query. So first thing to do, just as I showed you in the last video how you can remove rows that you don't need, all I have to do now is to come here to remove rows. Then I would say I want to remove top rows. To check the number of rows you want to remove, which are just there are 9 rows, I'll come here and type in 9, hit OK. So it removes that, and you'll notice now that we have our column headers on the first row. So I'll make the first row, I'll use it as header. So just it now. Now you would notice something, and just check here, check your status bar here. You notice we have over 160 columns, then 199 plus rows. That's a lot of columns. It's a lot. So first thing first, we have to unpivot. Now, what is unpivoting and what is pivoting? Pivoting and unpivoting are data transformation techniques in Power BI that you can use to transpose data from a long format to a wide format or vice versa. For pivoting, it has to do with transforming your rows into columns, summarizing your data by turning unique values from a single column into multiple columns. While for unpivoting, it has to do with transforming your columns into rows, making the data set more normalized, or let's say tall. So now let's look at this. You notice that our column header from the fourth column here, it's having date and time as the header, which doesn't make sense. Scrolling down or scrolling through, you get to see it's almost the same for every other thing. You're seeing 02/03/2017 alongside with the time. It doesn't make sense. So it means we have to make all this to be in a single, just occupy a single column. Right? Now remember the first rule of data normalization that states that every values or unique values or attribute must have its own column. It must be in its own column. So to fix this now, all I have to do is to unpivot it. Since we have over 160 columns, and trust me, from this down to the end is all having date as the column header. So I'm going to work on this. Highlight this first 4, right? This first 4. Then come here, go to your transform tab. You get to see the pivot and the unpivot feature. You notice that this pivot column is grayed out, so it means that we don't need it here. The fact that it's grayed out means it cannot be used. So come to unpivot. What we want to do is to unpivot. We want to make all this here that have date as their headers. We want to put all the dates in a single column. So to do this, I'll click on the drop down button, and we have different options. That is unpivot columns, then we have unpivot other columns. Since the columns you want to unpivot are the ones that are over 156, right? The one with the date as header, I'm going to come here and select unpivot other columns. It doesn't make sense that I start highlighting all these ones to the end. It will take a lot of time. So I'm going to come here and hit unpivot other columns. Then you notice something. Can you see that we have just 6 columns, then 999 plus rows? So it means it has reduced all that number of rows from 160 down to 6 columns. That is how it is. So this is called unpivoting. We just made that long or wide list of columns to just form 6 columns. That is how you do it. So I'm going to change this. I'll rename this from attribute to date because we can no longer see this as column headers anymore. Then the next thing we want to look at, now I want us to show us something before we do this unpivoting. So let me just go back because I already filled sales all through. Now let me go back. Go back. Okay, so let's say we are back to the very beginning. Now, in a situation where you have empty cells, now I want you to know something. Sometimes you might have blank cells. There will be nothing in that cells when you import it into Power BI, and sometimes it shows null. When you see blank, it means that it's not blank. Power Query still sees it as a blank text string, even if it looks empty. So if you try to fill down at that point, you might not get a result for it until you replace with null. I don't know if you get what I'm trying to explain. I'll do what to explain better now. I want to replace all this null here. If you scroll down, let's scroll down a bit and see. We have sales at the top, then we have null, 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 all true. So I'll scroll down to see if we would have something else. Okay, the scrolling down might take a while. Just come here, click on your drop down button, then load more to see if we have any other thing aside from sales and null. So you can see we still have margin, right? We have margin here, so it means it's not just only sales that's in that column. So I want to fill down with sales, and I also want to fill down with margin. So it means you're filling that whatsoever is at the top down to the bottom. Cancel this, then select the column you want to fill down. Here in your transform tab, in the any column group, you get to see the feature fill. I'll click on the drop down button. We have two options, there is down and there is up. What I want to do is to fill down. If you have to fill up, you select up, but since I want to fill down, I'm going to select the down. So I'll hit down, then you notice something, it will fill down everything with sales. So let's go back and check if we'll still find null there. So I'm going to check again, load more. Can you see we just have margin and sales? So it's telling us that we don't have any null or any empty cell there in that column anymore. Then cancel. Now we can now unpivot. Select this, press down your shift button, select the fourth column, then go back to unpivot other columns. We obtain bringing all those columns that are having date as headers, combine everything together, let the date, which is an attribute, be in a single column. Go to pivot other columns, and I have this. So then I'm going to just rename this back to date. Alright, so you can see I just showed you how you can fill down, and you can try out the fill up option too. Then what else do you want to do? Since we now have the date to be in a single, before we start looking at changing the data type, what next I want to do is to make sure that this metric, I want to have sales and margin to be in a single column, having these values here under it. So you are pivoting in this case. You are pivoting. So to do this, I'm going to select this. Remember I said pivoting is you transforming rows into column. Notice how is it on a row, sales on a row, sales on a row, even if they are all in the metric column, but it's on a row. So you're saying this for these sales, this is the amount, this is the value. For these sales, this is the value. So, but now I want to have sale alone in a single column containing its own values. Margin alone in a single column containing its own values. To do this, I'm selecting this column, then come here. You can see we don't have any of the options grayed out now. Select pivot because I want to transform it into column. Then the pivot column dialog box appears and it's asking you, okay, what do you want to use as a values column? I want this column here, value, to be my values column. So I'll click on the drop down button and I'll come here to select value. Then I'll hit OK. And what happened next is that it would split the values into sales column and margin column. So let's wait for it. Okay, it's loading. So let's wait. So can you see we have sales and we have margin all having its own values in each of the columns? This is how you pivot your data. What else do you want to look at? Can you see how we just reduce everything? This is how you do stuff like this. Okay, now the next thing we have to look at is the data type. You have to fix them. I'm okay with this store. It contains numerical values. I'm okay with it. I'm okay with category. I'm okay with that. Reference. I don't need this column. So to remove a column you don't need, just select it, right click, and you see option for remove. If you want to remove other columns excluding this, select remove other columns. But I want to remove this, which I'm not going to do now. I'm going to use another feature. Just come here, selecting this. You go to your home tab. So can you see another option for remove columns? So you come here and you say remove column. It removes it. Boom, you're done. So what else do you want to look at again? This is a date, right? So we have to change this from text to date. It's currently showing text format. So I'll click on the drop down button here, this button here, and I'm going to change it to even if it's date and time is showing, I want it to be date. Okay, so let's see what it's going to show. Now you will notice you are seeing error, right? Now sometimes when you try to change your date format, you try to change your data, into a particular date format, be changed to date or time, and it's giving you error, it's probably because of the date format. You know, for US it is month, day, and year. Then for Nigeria and for almost part of the country, it is day, month, and year. So if you're facing issue with trying to change your data into a date format, it's probably because of where that data, the region the data is coming from. And by default, the Power BI would take the date format of the region you are in. So if you go back and try to check the region that we are in to see what format is using. So I'm going to just come here, go to your file, click on File tab, then come here to Options and Setting, and you select Options. So we're going to check the region that Power BI is using for us now and see. So I'm waiting for it to come up. So I'm going to come to Current File, then you see Regional Settings. So click on this. Can you see it showing English Nigeria, right? Let's go back first, right? And let's click on that error to see what it's saying. So this now, let's see. Okay, so I don't know why it's taking this long. So can you see saying date format.error? We couldn't pass the input provided as a date value. This is 0104 2019. It's probably because this is in a month, day, and year format. Let's go back and check the data when we did not remove it. So let's check this. This is showing 0104 like that. Then let's scroll down. It's mixed up with both UK format and US format. So for you to fix this kind of error that has to do with date, changing your data type to date and giving you error, all you have to do is to come here. So I'm going to come here and insert a new step. What I want to do is to come here. I'm not going to change using any of this. I'll come here changing using locale. So select the locale, and it's saying, do you want to insert step? Of course I want to. So I'm going to insert. Let's go back. Before I insert, let me check this. What is this? So this is going to showing error. Okay, so I'm going to delete this. I'll leave this. Come here. Using locale. Then yes, insert step. I want to insert a new step. I'll insert that. So now it's asking you, what is the data type? What is currently here, it's date and time, right? The locale, I would have to change it to, let's say I want to just use the UK format. That is what I want to use. So I'll come here and change the locale, use United Kingdom. Then this format is showing day, month, and year, and I hit OK. So let's see what happens. So sometimes just changing the format using that can solve the problem, but sometimes even after changing it using locale, it might not really solve the problem and it still brings the error. So all you have to do is to go back to that file, regional setting, and choose that same format you chose here. So let's see if it's going to change it for us here. So can you see that it has changed this now? We have our dates here. So all you have to just do now is to come here and now change it to date. Then that, do you want to insert step? Yes, I want to insert it. Then it changes the whole thing from date and time to date. Can we see now that it has changed this to the date format? So we are good. Let's change this. We're going to fix this now. Change this to, I want this to be, it's in decimal, so I'll select decimal and I'm going to change this. Okay. Cancel. I think I don't want this particular step. I'm going to remove that. Yes. So I'll add decimal. Change this to decimal.